Good. Okay. Well, it's nice and light this morning, so fantastic. The sun was shining so nicely today. And you can have a look at this daily Dow. With the fibs on this range. From here to here, and already once we cracked here, we are into 50% already. So I think we are still going to, I think we can jump back up here to 800, but once we get close to this resistance area here, I think we could leg down, and then if we leg down and hold, then I think we could move up into April and May. But short term, I don't trust this push higher at the moment. I'm just looking for this to get back up to this resistance. Here on the 4-hour chart, you can see around about 800 is a possible, is going to be a real test for the Dow, and then we may pull back at that stage. Look at the weekly chart with the low from January last year, a high in August last year, and then the push, and then this push. We are, it could easily come down to 19.6 and still be within this in this area here. You see the weekly there. So again, the 800, 780, 800 picks up the resistance up there. So I think we could see some buying in the first part of the week and then some selling in the second half of the week. Let's look at the data front. We're a little bit light on data this week. The main thing is of course Brexit. So we've got US consumer confidence tomorrow. We've got no European or UK data at all tomorrow. None whatsoever. And then Wednesday we've got effectively got Brexit. That's allegedly the day that Theresa May is going to press the Article 50 button. Very little data that day, apart from lending data 9:30. Thursday we are really light, apart from US GDP. Wow, it's a particularly light week. And then Friday we seem to have a string of data on Friday. Chinese manufacturing, UK current account, Canadian GDP, etc. So an odd week. So I think we're seeing to me, this is a bit of a dead cat bounce. I've only put this trend line here today on this low this morning, and looking for that to come across. Let's just pause for a moment and see what you think. What do you think of these charts? What do you anticipate? Okay. Let's move on then. Let's see what the Nikkei and the Nasdaq's doing. Right. And this was a leading indicator for me because this was the first one to crack. This started cracking mid-March. So if this is going to pull up, if the Nikkei is going to pull up into support, then this could be an early indication of what to expect. Yeah, if we can start holding 19,000 on the Nikkei, then this could really blast up. Look at the bigger picture. In fact, let's fib the bigger picture. Okay, so we've failed at the top of this fib zone short term at the moment. So we've yet to climb to August 15 levels. So this Nikkei is behind the Western indices big time. And the Nasdaq, I think the Nasdaq is a big indicator for the US. So there's the big drop on Tuesday. At the moment we are just climbing. This is just getting bought at the moment. So let's redraw this. I think these fibs are a little bit out of date as well. So let's just get a grip with that as well. I'm going to grab that level and this level, drag that across. So 53.83, which we're very, very close to now. Actually, I don't like sitting the fibs. I don't like having the fibs like that. Let's put it right at the top and right the current top and the most recent low. So 54.40 is crucial. If we break that, we are in trouble. Okay, so it's what happened at 5400 really that's going to matter. Is that going to hold up there or not? Time will tell. So let's look at the Brexit numbers. At the moment, I've got the pound coming into this trend line resistance. And yeah, we are definitely struggling. We had 2 weeks of higher closes. We're coming right into a resistance level. So yeah, this 126 is where we started to roll over from in end of January. And the first time we come in contact with the 200 since the June Brexit vote. So I don't think it's any coincidence the fact that we're retesting the 200 EMA just as we get to the Brexit vote. So how can we call this? So we've got that support underneath there. We've got this is the most recent resistance, 12684, which we're very close to. So if we bump into that and sell, I would sell that and then see if we can come right back down to that low. So I would like a full retest of these highs and then see if we're going to short. In the meantime, I would steer clear. I would just steer clear. I'm trying to see a setup. I'm trying to see a setup that isn't there, basically, I think. This one, however, is much more interesting. We're coming off a fib level at 840. A lot of congestion above, so we might just slip back into 139.75, 140 and sell off. In the meantime, the weekly is all fours a lower close on the weekly. If this is a bear flag, then all of those touches have been sold into. One little test of that resistance could then drag that right the way back down again. So, I mean, all the time you're in this apex, it's a little harder to call, and we are, with a lot of charts I talked about in the weekend video, we are between the 20 and the 200 moving average, simple moving average. And that's when you get the chop. If you look at the 4 hour, the 4 hour is more, to me, potentially more short orientated. But it's that push into those areas there that is going to get interesting. Because if we then hit that high, come down and break 138, then we're going to see 134 pretty quick. It's hard to call. I mean, as we're getting close to the US close, and that's holding up nicely. So the bulls have certainly got it into the close. Euro, I have been shorting because of this setup here. Here's the range. A nice number of waves. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 A, B. So potentially got a C wave down to the 800 mark, and the D wave could well take us up to 110. However, we're closing. Looks as if we're going to get a 4-hour sell signal, and on the daily, I think at the very least this 20 and 200 is going to want to cross. So for that to happen, I think the path of least resistance is down, and we've been selling at the Brexit drop zone. The Brexit drop zone is 109.04, and that's where we've been selling from. Hence my short alert. So my preference is for that to at least come down to 107. I think 108 short term, potential low of the week 107, if we can get this to roll over. And then if we hold 107, then I think we could light the fire and get to 110 plus. Euro yen, look at a couple of this is probably one of the nicest charts out there at the moment, because if we hold this, we've had a big move up here from October. If we come out of Wednesday positively, I think we could fly up to 124. Hit this 20 moving average at 121 roughly. Now I think we're coming south. I think the most likely thing is for us to touch that 20 up there at 121 and then to short down to 118, potentially lower. So that's what I would look for into midweek. Oil. What do you guys see in oil? Tell me what you see in oil. Sorry about that. Yeah, we look as if we're going into the electronic session. I think finishes at 7:30 these days. which means we're closing lower. So I still think we're going to see this push down to this longer term trend line that was set up in April last year, tested in August, touched November 14, and not touched yet. I mean, the fact we are holding this lower fib zone, and as you say, there are bottoming tails. So if we've got a 20 and a 200 smooth, simple moving average crossing, I think it's lower. I just think it's lower. I don't think now whether or not the market picks up midweek after Brexit and inventories, oil inventories, I think it's crying out to test this area here. It's a big bust up on the 30th of November, and I think that's where the market is going to be happiest. So I'm looking to get serious on oil at that stage, unless we close above 48 sometime soon. Happy to change my mind on that. Happy to get bullish if we see a decent close. 4 hour is better. Got a little hammer-like bar there with the trend lines holding in the smaller time frame. Gold. I was calling this, that's a Sunday bar, isn't it? Yeah. Coming to the start of the week, holding up. This little blue bar here is a Sunday bar. And we are sitting above that trend line. So the jury's out. I think, well, if you look here, we sold off here from the end of Feb. I keep thinking that we're going to want to touch 1200 again, at which point I would definitely buy. But if we're going into this overnight holding higher, then this could just accelerate up to 1300. It's a neat little pattern down here, that's the thing. So I think maybe we could just hold up and accelerate. What's your view on gold? On the weekly, yeah. If you look at this weekly chart, this is a big area here. Very, very big area. So yeah, we could very, very easily roll over. Degree of fear in the markets with what's going on in the Dow and the US. And the Dow has been dipping even since we've been speaking. I think at the very best we'll need another test of 1240, and if that holds, then I think we'll get one, 2. That might be wave 2 over, and then wave 3 could be a nice impulsive wave. So we are potentially. I think any big flush into this area here could create the impulse, the start of the impulse wave up to those highs. Otherwise, close underneath here, and then we are toast. Right, let me just pause 1 minute, and then anything else? So we've gone over the pound, looking at resistance in the pound. Even intraday, this Euro US has pulled down and been bought. There is a gap here. Let's talk about gaps in a minute. Give me 2 minutes and talk about, or 1 minute, we'll talk about gaps. Okay, one of the reasons why I've been looking at shorting the euro is that we have got this gap. We closed at literally 108 on Friday, opened up at 108.40, tested last week's high, and then ran. So what I'm looking at here is if we can come back and test 900 again, or even up into, who knows, potentially even 930. I would like to get short just to fill this gap. So it's just a question of, it could be the Brexit day. I mean, the longer that gap stays open, the more likely I think we are to see a potential quite hard fall. So what I think might happen is, I think if we push into 900 and 930 tomorrow, then Wednesday, I think this market could come off of this 200% and fill that gap. So I'm looking at 1 or 2 areas here for any sell signals. I think the most likely thing is a sell, a retest of that 127 extension tomorrow. But we are so quiet on the data front that this market may just wander into tomorrow and then see some reactions tomorrow, Wednesday. Sorry, I'm trying to get our guest into the room, and he can't get the link to work. I think his email's failed him, so he can't pick up the link because his email's not working. Right. So that's my plan. I think I'm going to just watch. And he pushes higher. I hope I got this right, because I don't want this to fly up and me to look silly while I was looking for shorts while this is flying. So I will have to live with that, but I think that is about to. I'm bearish, bullish the dollar, bearish the euro, and likewise with that pound. I think that's setting up to roll over. Okay. I think I'm going to leave the stocks until tomorrow. Let's have a quick look. Let's have a look at some bellwethers. Tesco's interesting. That's a 186 is a really, really big area. I think we need to get Wednesday out of the way. The more I think about this market, and the more I scan, the more I plot, the harder I find it is to really commit to direction. I think that's the problem with the market as a whole at the moment. Typically, March does this. Let's go back to indices a second. Let's have a look at this sort of period last year. Oh, it's Rolls Royce. Let me just go back to indices. And take that off. If you look at this time of year and previous periods, you will see that so we ran up into a good run into March last year, dipped in the middle of March, and then went right up into May. Sell in May and go away, hence the reason why it does. So we certainly had a dip in the previous March. Let's go back another year, because typically let's go back to, yeah, this is better. It's a better example. Let me get a bit more data on here. Come bring that across. Let's look at this time of year 2 years ago. Ran up into March, fell back into April, put a floor under this market in April, and then started pushing up. I think the reason why the expectations are high because it's an election year. It's not uncommon to see a burst like this in this time of year, in election year. We were definitely too high up here. We were definitely, if you look at the indicators, we saw the MACD very high. We saw the stochastics very, very high. Right at the top of the range. And now, obviously, we are the other end of the scale. We've got the moving averages on the MACD just coming into the midline. So let's see if this midline holds. Okay, let's go back to day trading a second, and then I'm going to come on to stocks. I'll do a separate video on stocks, I think. We're going to separate session. We're going to do a separate session on stocks this week to make up for it. Right, so on these charts, this has got a gap. This closed on Friday at 20,606, is that right? 20,620, give or take a few pips. So at some stage that is going to close. At the moment we've touched the 127 extension, but pulling back to last week's lows, which happens to be Friday's low, and we're just trying to hold with a potential to go to at least close the gap. Now when we close the gap, typically I would expect it ordinarily to rotate back to the trend. So if you've got markets waving to the downside and selling on pullbacks, it stands to reason if you've gapped down, that's the direction. The market will wait for the gap fill and then potentially overshoot it, and then potentially rotate back down to the trend. So this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 could be the impulsive. And then we'll get a potential 3-wave correction. So if 5 ends up down there, could end up with a 1, 2, 3 corrective wave, and then start the whole process again. Okay, so at the moment we are 1, 2, 3, 4. So at the moment we're in wave, I think we're in wave 4, getting ready for gap fill, and then the next leg down. That's my interpretation of what's going on. So if we look at the euro, like I said, happy to sit and see if we can get a test of 109 again tomorrow, and then come and fill the gap. At which point, if we overshoot to something like 780, 780 was a major pivot last week. If we drop down to 780, I will be a buyer, because I think then I think we can rotate back to the trend, and potentially, who knows, maybe you take off to 110. We do not have a gap on the pound. We have filled the gap on the pound yen. That now looks as if that could come off. Now we've filled the gap on that one. And what else? DAX. We have a gap up there at 74. So that's something I'll be looking at for tomorrow, 74. See if we can push up there and see some selling, or potentially into 12,115, potentially just around the gap area. Okay, so I'm short-term bearish still in this market, waiting for some higher numbers to get short again. Okay, I think what I'll do is I'll leave it there, because there's a few people missing today. I think what I'll do is, when we meet in the room tomorrow, I'll talk about having an additional quick session this week. I'll tell you what, I think I'll do a quick session after the Brexit day on Wednesday. I'll do a quick half an hour on stocks and gaps to catch up on Wednesday. If you can't join me, I'll just record it. Otherwise, so you can see the recording that night or next morning. Okay, but it's a bit of an odd week. Yeah, a lot of fear in the market back in the second half of last week. Brexit coming up, not much data hanging around, so it's proving to be a little harder to predict at the moment. In fact, I would have predicted that the Dow would have kicked off a little higher and then started selling. I thought we'd be up here by now, getting ready to test at least Thursday's high, and then start dropping into Tuesday. But we've not done that. We've gapped and done something else, which has made my analysis a bit screwed. But at least we've got a gap set up that we can look at that. Okay, so I'm looking for gap fills, and then I will do a catch up on Wednesday night. Any questions before I finish up? Okay, well, let's stay tuned to those gaps. Let's get another day out of the way, see what happens on Brexit Day, and then we can catch up again. All right, thanks for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning. Bye for now.